Now, earlier today, I said on Twitter that if you look at the mainstream media and you replace the word racism or white supremacy from the headline with devil worship and demon worship, you're going to get headlines very similar from the 80s. And of course, people said it's a boomer take. They said that I'm full of shit, which is why I decided to make this video. So as you can see, there's a lot of articles saying that Dungeons and Dragons is racist. So let's replace racism with demon worship, and here you have it. You have an article from the 1981 that talks about how Dungeons and Dragons is about demon worshipping. And we're going to look at several articles because there was an entire theme going around about it, saying that Dungeons and Dragons is not just a game, but it's a gateway to hell. And it's pretty much the same with the articles from 2021. Dungeons and Dragons isn't just a game, but it's a gateway to the far right, it's a gateway to sexism, it's a gateway to racism. The only difference, I would say, is that the criticism from the 80s was coming from the outside. So the people that were criticizing the game weren't the same people that were making the game. And as such, you didn't notice many changes. Now the criticism is coming from within. So this is why you get ridiculous changes like orcs cannot be an evil race, drow aren't all an evil race. Like many changes in order to make the game more progressive, to, I guess, end racism in society through Dungeons and Dragons. But imagine if the same logic would have been applied in the 80s and you'd have magic removed from the game. You would have devils as a race removed from the game. It would make the game less enjoyable. It would limit the fantasy and the opportunity. But let's look at what the people were complaining back then. So this article is from 1981. And it says that to other people, Dungeons and Dragons is not a harmless pastime. It's actually a front for demon worship and witchcraft, while proponents see it as a wholesome, constructive release. Regardless of which view one believes, the battle which rages over the moral implications of Dungeons and Dragons are as heated as the violent conflict which takes place in the game itself. So I want you to take a step back and realize that this is written in an actual newspaper for mainstream publication and is suggesting that you can use Dungeons and Dragons in order to become a warlock. Okay? And this is not from 100 years ago. This is quite recent. There are people who are alive now who lived in the time when this is what the press was publishing. And this is how the press was attacking people. And there is an actual movie, by the way, which is suggesting that people who play Dungeons and Dragons become murderers. Because what they did back then is that every time someone committed a violent crime, the media would try to find out if there was any connection with Dungeons and Dragons. And if they found the connection, we told you. This is the reason. It's Dungeons and Dragons. And as you can see here, it actually says that the Herald Examiner, which is a mainstream publication, was very prestigious at the time, said that Dungeons and Dragons is promoting homosexuality, sodomy, rape, and other perverse acts of sexuality. Why? Because it allows the players the freedom to create their own adventures, and because some players choose to create these adventures, then the game promotes it. Where have you heard this expression? Let's replace this. It's like, yes, Dungeons and Dragons is promoting far-right racism, rape, and other perverts. It's the same thing like it's promoting rape culture. I mean, the BBC in 2021 is also suggesting that the same game is promoting rape culture. Which is why I'm saying, like, this moral busybodiness where the mainstream media is attacking things which are 100% harmless is an American thing. Like, this is ingrained in American culture. It's not left-wing or right-wing. It's people who like to impose their wills upon others. It's the media trying to frighten people and distract them from the actual problems in society and say, The reason society is bad, do you know why that is? It's because Dungeons and Dragons. Make sure your kid doesn't play Dungeons and Dragons because he's going to end up as a bad person. Players deny this accusation. A local high school player commented, "That's a bold-faced lie. It reflects the mentality of the people and their slanderous opinions." More so, the vice president of the University Fantasy Wargames Club says that evangelicals want to come in and dictate what other people should do. They are extremely close-minded. Exactly the same like the progressives we have today. You have activists that really don't care about the game whatsoever. But what they care about is getting other people to behave in a way that they seem appropriate. And the only difference is that the evangelicals weren't the ones making the game. They weren't inside the community. The reason the social justice activists were so successful is because they got inside the community. And when the players would say, "You're a fake geek. You are fake. You're not here because you want to enjoy the hobby," they would say, "Oh, that's misogynistic. You're just saying that because I'm a girl." And there are no fake geeks. They don't exist. You have fake money. You have fake everything. You can have fake passports, but you can't have fake geeks. All geeks are 100% legit, especially the social justice activists. So the fundamental Christian groups in California, of all places in California and Utah, have been successful in getting Dungeons and Dragons banned from public schools where it had gotten used in programs for gifted students. In Kansas, another evangelist threatened to buy up all the games and burn them in the stores, did not stop stocking them. Do any of these tactics sound remotely familiar? Of course, now they don't have to buy the games because now they have social media and they can threaten the store with online boycotts. So the stores decide, "Oh, we're going to pull GTA off of Target or whatever because it encourages rape culture." But the tactics are literally the fucking same. You have people in society that can't sleep at night because someone else is doing something harmless and they need to do something about it. They get a boner, they get an erection when they impose their will upon other people. That's literally it. They don't care about the ideology. If America was an Islamic theocratic state, you would have people that believe in Sharia enforcing this thing. And it would probably be an overlap. Like overnight, you'd see these progressives just become radical Muslims because they need an ideology to enforce their will upon other people. They don't care what the ideology is. It can be anything. Like whatever the ideology is, they will use it. And of course, they also tie to the fact that why the student zeal in attacking the game now, just like anything else, it took a nationally publicized incident to turn the public eye towards Dungeons and Dragons. The disappearance of James Dallas Egbert, who was a 16-year-old Michigan State student, a whiz kid who played Dungeons and Dragons in the large complex of steam tunnels underneath the school when he disappeared there. So, he was playing a game. He could have played anything else. He could have played rock, paper, scissors in the tunnel. He could have played whatever, but to distract people from this event, it's like, okay, why were the tunnels open to the public? Like, why was he able to go into the tunnels to begin with? Why wasn't anyone supervising those tunnels? No, instead of asking the actual questions, to protect the people responsible, you blame it on an innocent game, which, by the way, is a game that also stimulates imagination. It's an excellent game for people to play. I would wholeheartedly recommend it. But what I'm trying to say is that, yes, you look, when you see in the headlines, in the press, that this is white supremacist, this is racist, or whatever, replace it with devil worship and demon worship, and you get articles from the 80s. And it also starts to make a lot more sense. Like, for example, you see a black person being called a white supremacist. No, she's a devil worship. That's what they're trying to say. Let me know what you guys think. I'm really curious, actually, on this one. I'm really, really curious to see what you guys think. And if you like the video, please share it around, because the YouTube algorithm doesn't like me as it used to. And if you really, really like this, I have left a link into the pinned comment in case you guys want to give me some coffee to keep me caffeinated. Because I don't have my squeaky voice anymore when I'm not caffeinated. All right, take care.